What's going on, guys? This is Miasin and welcome to OCG Metagame Breakdown number 9 and 10. Things are really getting serious because we are finally getting the World Championship qualifiers in Asia. Also, we're going to be getting them in other, countries as well. I mean, other continents. Europe, North America very soon. I think we already got to Central America recently. It's just a matter of time before we are going to be knowing who's going to be going to the Worlds this year. But yeah, this is also a really big compilation. So 230 top-performing decks from 36 tournaments in so many countries. So Japan, mainland China, Indonesia, Singapore, Taiwan, South Korea, and Vietnam. There's also a new Sky Striker race card, which is really good. Camellia, really insane in the Sky Striker deck itself. Anyways, before this video starts, make sure you like and subscribe. You already know the drill. And now let's get right into it. Alright, so the number one best deck is no longer, I think it was Mathmag before, or Purely. Now it's Rescue Ace, but not by a long shot. So the meta is extremely diverse. And that's something that we're going to be seeing very soon because the number one deck is only number one by like 0.9%. So 10% and then 9.1 is Purely, 8.7 Runic, and then 8.3, 7.4. It's pretty much the same thing. You can argue that, they're all tied for first place, honestly, because it's just a marginal difference. So it's extremely misrepresentative of the power difference between every deck. So yeah, very diverse format in case you are into that. But yeah, Rescue Ace, the main build is just the pure build because yes, the deck plays like half Fire Warrior, half Fire Machine, so you could theoretically, potentially, jokingly play some Infernoble Knight monsters in it, but I really don't recommend them. And then Purely, I think I finally understand what Dark World Purely means because I used to believe that, it was just Purely with like one Snow, one Brow, maybe, and maybe one Grapha to out Floodgates. But some builds are actually playing like 3 Snow, Silva, freaking Rainbow, and some random shit. So I was like, whoa, that's like actual Dark World Purely. So yeah, maybe it's this build, I don't know. But yeah, Purely, for the most part, I think people are actually dropping some of the discard outlet cards. I know the TCG, a lot of people are no longer playing anything that benefits off of being discarded. They're just playing more hand traps, more like maybe Book of Eclipse in the main deck, or Triple Tactic Talents. And then in the side deck, of course, they always have like that Vanity's Fiend, so that you side like those Kaijus and stuff for the Expurely Noir, and then you start losing to Vanity's Fiend because they don't really need their normal summons. And Adventure Purely is very interesting. Kashtira Purely, I've seen that before, but it looks kind of dog shit, honestly. And then this is where I want to say Yu-Gi-Oh! Is not really at its peak because a stun deck is actually in the top tier, as a contender. So a stun Runic, 19 spots. So that's really terrifying. And then Natura Runic. So I want to say, arguably, this shouldn't even be in the same category because even though it does play Runic cards, it's not really like a stun deck with like billions of floodgates. I guess Natura Beast is kind of like a floodgate, but whatever. I mean, you get the point. In the TCG, this deck is no longer really good, but Stun Runic is definitely something that you have to be prepared for because if you don't have a side deck for Stun Runic, you're not going to be in a good mood at all. It has a really good matchup against combo decks in general, and I guess control decks can grind with it, but meh. Branded, they only have one Branded Fusion, but they have a really nice, way to recover from it getting ashed. I'm going to be covering that really soon. Mathmech, of course, really good deck. The Link one is insane, the Link Decoder or something. Adamantipator, they have a Super Heavy Samurai, so no shit. Tier Elements, they still have, they have Chaos Ruler, we don't. And they also have Revolution Synchron. That card's insane. Kashtira, with everything at 1. In the TCG, this deck is still really good, man. Oh, it's crazy. Super Heavy Samurai, alright. Dragon Link, Labyrinth, wow, interesting. Only 6. That's crazy because in the TCG, everybody's playing this deck. It's so popular. Anyways, Mana Dome, Sky Striker, Dinosaur, Salamandrate, Magician, Mathmech Adagnister, the inferior version of pure Mathmech, okay. And then Synchron, Trap Tricks, Adventure, really big Fall from Grace, man. It used to be like so much better than that. Adventure, Infernoble Knight, Hero, Scareclaw, Shadal, what the hell is this? Blackwing, okay. Crystal Beast, whatever, yeah, who cares? Only one Flunderies, again, very interesting because it's not like you can say, oh, well, the deck loses to Maxi. It literally doesn't. I think they don't have Windbearer statue anymore, so it's like the exact same thing as, for us, but even then, in the TCG, it's still doing much better than that. Only one is really shocking, but anyways, yes, and then what the hell is this? Bruv, oh my god, really? Every single time, there's always that Fairy Tail Luna control deck. Not even a control deck, it's a beatdown deck. It's an OTK going second deck. Princess, Mekanko, I don't even care anymore. Alright, let's get into the first deck, which is Rescue Ace. Alright, so there's a lot that I don't really... it's not really that I don't know, but it's just that I forgot because I haven't touched this deck in a while. But I do know that they have a lot of starters and they have a lot of ways to dodge hand traps completely. The deck doesn't lose to Maxi because you only really need to special summon like once or twice in your turn. that's it. It's not a combo deck, it's kind of like a mid-range deck, and it doesn't lose to Veiler and Imperm because you can easily dodge those cards, either with this really beautiful tech of going to Proxy F Magician to fuse into Mud Dragon of the Swamp, so that you can call fire, and your opponent cannot target your fire monsters for card effects, and all of your Rescue Ace monsters are fires, so you can just use the effect of, I believe, the Turbulence in order to set, 4 Rescue Ace spells and traps directly from your deck into the field, and you kind of just win the game if that happens, because you're gonna have a lot of interruptions. You're gonna have a pop, you're gonna have recycle back, you're gonna have, I think, like a negation or something, I don't even know, I forgot, but yeah, a lot of resources just with one single card. That's really scary. And you're also setting cards directly from your field, deck to field, so that also plays around Ash. So Ash does nothing. A bunch of cards do nothing, actually. I do believe, though, that because you always have to control a Rescue Ace monster to use your cards, this deck does lose to Regeki, or like evenly matched and stuff like that, which might be a reason why, some people are playing these cards. Well, maybe not Regeki at the moment, but I have seen it in the past in a few side decks, so definitely something that you should take into consideration. Maybe they might have some built-in protection, but if they don't, that card could be nice, not gonna lie. But yeah, there is also like new support, so the Quickly spell card is really insane. You can special summon a Rescue Ace monster directly from your deck, and then you have to tribute a monster you control. So that can be something that you can use at your advantage if you want to tribute a monster that is being targeted by like Effect Veiler. I believe that's what the card is, because a bunch of Quickly spell cards in this deck. That's really scary. Yeah, so that, yeah, it's a really good card. And you have so much recursion too. Like, this deck literally just never runs out of gas. If you get your stuff going, it's pretty much impossible that you lose. Like, basically, you have to put in the effort to lose at this point. It's really just a link deck and plays a lot of fire monsters, so you can unironically use Sunlight Wolf in a non-Salamangreat deck, which is very funny because recycling back Ash is honestly just free real estate. It's not really like you're trying to, normal summon the card after that. And you can also special summon on your opponent's turn. So that Sunlight Wolf can trigger on your own turn, on your opponent's turn. It's like infinite loop of recyclability, as if the deck didn't have enough, because you also have a built-in Daigusto Emerald to shuffle back your banished Rescue Ace cards or in your graveyard or something. You also get to draw a card, if I recall correctly. Yeah, it's just ridiculous. Like, this deck just does so much, but it's not that, it's not that big. It's not a combo deck. It doesn't lose to Nibiru. It doesn't special summon 25 billion times, and it does have flaws, and that's the reason why it's not, a tier 0 deck. It's only 10%. So it's the best deck, but it's not degenerate. And I actually am very willing to make a combo video and the deck profile on this deck. Well, I mean, updated, because the last time I checked that deck out, it was a while back. So clearly the deck changed a lot, and I want to say it's very, it's way more interesting now. I guess their only negate should be Theron King Regulus. Wow. But yeah, side deck, Kurikara, Jesus, a lot of fire monsters. I guess it fits the theme of the deck. You can also play Dogoran if you really want to. Droll and Lockbird, Nibiru, Cosmic, Duster, whatever. They still have Red Reboot, that's ridiculous. Alright, Purely. Okay, so this build is not playing Grapha in the main deck, but it is side decking it in case you are going second against There Can Only Be One, or a really fun and enjoyable Floodgate like that. Extremely frustrating. But yeah, this deck is really good going second, actually, if you don't have to deal with, like I said, annoying Floodgates, because going second, your deck is always more consistent since you have more ways of getting access to Expurely Noir. If you're going first, the only way, realistically, is just Expurely Plum Turbo. But going second, you can start going into Happy and then attack and then search, attack, search, attack, search. Do that a lot. You can OTK with Happy. Is it Happy or Happiness? Whatever. The rank 2 monster that doesn't do anything going first. So it's not too bad. Obviously going first, if you brick, all you can really do is Beauty Pass, which is absolute dog shit. Because you're really just ending on that, the continuous spell for recursion, and maybe hand traps, but that's it, that's all. And you don't have a lot of monsters, and this build is only playing like 2 of the baby dark Purely monster, Purely Lily, which, I don't know, like, to me just makes no sense, because you really want like 6 monsters at the very least, so that, well, I mean, at the very least, that's the maximum amount, but you can run out of kitties like very, very quickly in this deck. The grind game isn't that good. And you can easily, like, I don't know, Ghost Bell, the trap card, graveyard effect, and then they really have, like, no follow-up after that, because, it's not really, like, you can start spamming from the extra deck if you have, like, absolutely no monsters left in your deck. You waste them so quickly, so I really disagree with that, but the rest, I want to say, is pretty good, and the deck doesn't really lose to Maxi too much. If you get Maxied on one of your quickly spells, you can just choose not to special summon, and you should be fine. Well, granted, you have hand traps to survive, of course, because if you die next turn, then you're not going to be fine. But yeah, another really cool thing about Grapha is that it can actually be an interruption on the opponent's turn if you have it in your hand and you just have like a quick play Purely card. you can just, use it on your opponent's turn, discard the Grapha, and then pop a card. So that's the beauty of the Dark World package in Purely. Even when you draw like suboptimal, you can still go for resources and, interruptions. But again, you're not making 25 negates. So that's the thing to consider. Sometimes you really have to go neg in this deck to do anything. And if you're playing that many Dark World monsters, maybe there's a world in which you could break like big time, because at the end of the day, especially in the TCG, since we only have like one Delicious Memory, the deck is infinitely less consistent, especially when you take into consideration hand traps. And again, another thing is, I believe in the TCG, nobody is playing the field spell, but in the OCG, everybody is. So another really interesting thing. Anyways, nothing else to really talk about for this deck, so we're going to be going into Runic, which is another fair and interactive and enjoyable deck to play against. So much bullshit, man. But this deck is not playing, well, this build at least is not playing Salesman, because there is a combo where you call a Mano Iwato, and then you can never activate the effect of a Mano Iwato, so it never bounces back to hand. And because of that, there's pretty much like a really overpowered Floodgate always sitting there on the board. No thank you. But yeah, very interesting, very beautiful deck building. I actually have cancer just looking at this, so I'm guess the side deck has even more fun Floodgates to what the hell. Inspector Border, Amano Iwato, DD Dynamite for the mirror match, I believe, because in the mirror all you can really do is like deck out your opponent, because all the Floodgates are bricks. Actually, imagine Desires in the mirror match. Thank you for helping me out by decking yourself out. Do you just pass turn doing nothing so that your opponent can never go Runic Destruction to destroy your cards and then banish 4 and stuff like that? Because if you actually commit to a card on the field, they will deck you out. So I think you just do nothing. You just pass turn for like 25 billion turns. You never put any card on the spell and trap zone. You never summon a monster. The player with the most amount of cards in their deck wins. So if you play 41, you win in the mirror match. That's literally just absolutely pathetic. But yeah, now we got Despia, which is yet again another very interesting deck, because they're not really trying to do never mind. I was like, oh, there's no Gimmick Puppet Nightmare, but they are giving you Ido, the magical knight or something, the magical, I don't even know, and I don't even give a shit. And they're playing Bestial Dispatter, which is a card that you can synchro summon in case your Branded Fusion doesn't go through, and it's a good card, so why not? It does things. But if you do get ashed on Branded Fusion, you can go triple Tactic Tasking or Thrust in order to get Fusion Duplication, and then on the opponent's turn they go Fusion Duplication, copy the effect of Branded Fusion in the graveyard, and then they can, summon Mirror Jade on your turn and interrupt you. So Fusion Duplication could actually be a really interesting tech for the TCG as well, in case you guys are interested, just for more ideas. But this deck is kind of susceptible to getting hit by Bestial. I mean, the Bestials are also getting, nerfed in the OCG. Only one Nobelion, only one Magnemite. So Dragon Link is like way worse, and that might actually play in Branded's favor. But there's also Purely, and people can be side decking Retaliating Sea against that deck, which obviously has a collateral damage on Despia, because they lose big time to Retaliating Sea. So that's, again, another thing. And I really don't understand why they're playing Ido but not Gimmick Puppet Nightmare. I feel like Gimmick Puppet Nightmare would be a little safer, but I don't know. I mean, nobody's playing Dark Hole anyway, so I think this is good enough. And yeah, both of them are just as easy to... Yeah, both of them are literally just as easy to get access to anyways. And there's also Branded Expulsion still in the OCG, but in the TCG it's banned, and the rest is not super relevant. Like main deck, side deck, there can only be one Sari, so that's a really good Floodgate in case they want to, play like Board Breakers or something that don't really cover the back row. There can only be one is going to piss you off. Alright, cool. Math Mech, this deck is really scary, and I know, I really know. So because of the Link 1 monster, which is I think it's Link Decoder. Yeah, Link Decoder, okay. There is a 2-card combo where if you have like Circular and any Extender level 4, you can end on Singularity as well as Terahertz, which is going to be a bounce for any, monster, card your opponent controls or in their graveyard. And then the Terahertz is also 2 interruptions. So you send the Saber's Disabworm on your own turn so that you can negate a spell or trap card. And on your opponent's turn, you send the Mirrologic Aggregator so that you can reactively negate, or I guess proactively, but reactively at the same time, negate any card your opponent controls, but it's in a separate chain link. So if your opponent activates like a Regeki, for example, you can't negate that, whereas the Cyber's Disabworm can. But yeah, like I said, really good deck. And in the side deck, we can see Solemn Scolding. So that's a really good card to cover a lot of ground. So in case you have Super Factorial as well as Scolding, you set both, and then on your opponent's turn, you go Super Factorial. Whether they Ghost Bell or Red Reboot, you have the counter for it. So it's kind of like a combination of Solemn Strike and Solemn Judgment. Negates absolutely everything in the game except, you know, spell and trap effects. Only negates spell and trap cards. And yeah, in conclusion, we are going into the World Championship season, so people are definitely going to be playing very seriously, and we can see that in a bunch of countries. Anyways, that's pretty much it for this OCG metagame breakdown video. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and let me know your thoughts about the OCG format in the comment section below. I'll see you guys very soon. Peace.